What's up, YouTube? So I just got back from Joburg, where I flew up to the Mediatech convention with IDM Mag. So for those who don't know, I write articles for an online publication called IDM Mag. I do like gear reviews and gear news and all sorts of stuff like that, like new plugins and new gear that gets announced. I write all that sort of tech news related article stuff for IDM Mag. And Mediatech is basically the largest kind of media and entertainment trade show in Africa. It contains everything from like the broadcast industry to the audio industry to the sort of camera and film industry and everything like that. And there was some pretty exciting stuff at the show. I mean, it was mostly broadcast and film and that kind of stuff. But that being said, there was some pretty exciting audio stuff, not only at the show, but we did attend a couple of other sort of events surrounding the actual trade show itself. So yeah, this is the kind of highlight video of what I saw at the trade show. Hope you guys enjoy. So there was quite a few lighting shows and laser shows and all sorts of stuff like that, because obviously it was like an entertainment trade show. And the one that stood out for me the most was the Beams lighting show. It was just so well choreographed, I think that's the kind of word, and well synced to the music that they had going. It was just a kind of fantastic visual experience. I really enjoyed watching that. So there was a lot of kind of like visual based stuff at the event, massive screens, projectors, visuals, crazy lighting and all sorts of like event stuff like that. But most of the kind of local audio colleges had also kind of set up booths there, teaching kind of newcomers about like music production and all sorts of stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I noticed there was quite a lot of youngsters at the show. There was this kind of massive gap, these kind of like young producer DJ looking types, and then these really old kind of broadcast types. So it was kind of cool to see, both of those worlds, at a single event. So yeah, a lot of the kind of audio colleges, their booths were like quite full up of people. They had like PCs running there with FL Studio and other DAWs and stuff. And there was quite a few guys like sitting making beats, and I think one of them was doing like a remix competition, which I thought was pretty cool. There were also these crazy product hologram display things, which I thought looked absolutely epic. They kind of worked, I think, using a fan, which like spins around and then it projects an image onto the fan. So it kind of looks 3D, but it's not. I thought that was a super cool concept, quite simple, but very effective. There were also a bunch of these companies with like interactive displays and screens, and they had like guys like sketching, drawing all sorts of artwork and stuff on the screens, which again was pretty cool. Anybody could kind of just walk up and kind of collaborate and do these art on the screens, which was pretty cool. So I think one of the biggest announcements at the show itself, it may not be that big for people outside of South Africa, but it's certainly huge news for, I think, DJs specifically in South Africa. The local brand Hybrid just announced that they're releasing their own line of DJ controllers, DJ mixers, and they also recently released their own line of DJ headphones. So bear in mind, these are aimed at the more affordable market. They're not going to take on stuff like Pioneer and Denon and those kind of like flagship brands. But I think having a competitor in the sort of lower end price point is definitely going to get a lot of, new guys into the scene. It's perfect for kind of guys practicing at home and stuff like that. Not all of us have the budget to get a Pioneer setup or something at our home studio. So I think, other brands stepping into the scene and offering affordable solutions for guys to practice on and all sorts of stuff like that is great. Again, they also offer like headphones, like I said, which is cool. They're incredibly well-priced headphones. I think the most expensive one is like 310 Rand, which is like $25. So yeah, like I said, they're not obviously the best quality headphones, but again, having like a backup solution or something for when your main headphones do die at a gig or something, it's for $25 or 310 bucks or whatever. It's a no-brainer. I also checked out this absolutely insane new Panasonic camera. I don't know all that much about cameras and stuff like that, but this one is obviously way over my head, but it was quite exciting just having a look at some of the features and stuff that, some of these companies are incorporating into, that side of things. This guy had this crazy mount for the camera that was completely remote controlled with a little touch screen. It could control the focus and the zoom, as well as the panning and the angle of the camera and all sorts of stuff like that without ever even touching the camera. So that makes for incredibly stable shots. You know, often when you're kind of like, when you touch the zoom or when you touch the focus on a camera, you can like shake the camera a little bit. So I think it's really cool to see this type of technology, even though I'm probably never going to use it. It's just something to kind of dream about, I guess, when I do win the lotto or something like that. So because this was kind of like a broadcast and entertainment and media focused trade show, there were all sorts of crazy high-end broadcast audio consoles. I had a look at this SSL, which are obviously legendary in the audio world. They had this console there, I think it was the System T broadcast console, and they had one of the guys actually from SSL over there doing demos on some of the really crazy features that the mixer had. Obviously, I'm not going to get too in depth with it. This is kind of just like an overview video. And again, I think this is kind of more focused on the broadcast world. There was a lot of 5.1 and 7.1 surround sound stuff. I think it's not really the right content for my channel, but that being said, it's just the kind of exciting stuff to see, I guess. So another big highlight of the Mediatech Trade Show is the audio speaker shootout, which they do in the kind of parking lot area. And essentially what it is, it's all the kind of big speaker manufacturing companies. I guess there was a lot of smaller ones this year as well, stuff that I've never heard of before. So it was quite interesting to see some new guys on the scene. But anyway, so they basically set up their best audio rigs and just try to wow the listeners with the quality and loudness that these kind of rigs can achieve. The thing that most stood out for me this year was Nexo's new M28 series speakers. Reason being is they're so small and they're so loud and relatively full range considering how small and compact they are. They also do have a sub that kind of pairs with it, and it was pretty awesome that the engineers at the event actually played an Infected Mushroom track that I actually know pretty well, so I was able to get a very good reference of what the kind of audio quality sounded like, and it was impeccable. So another brand in the audio industry that's also very, very big in the broadcast industry is Rode. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. Rode. Anyway, they do broadcast mics, camera mics, and also studio mics, condenser mics, all sorts of stuff like that. So one thing that they recently released that actually caught my eye is the Rode Procaster. Reason being is it's a kind of system designed for podcasting, but I think it'll be great for kind of like game streaming stuff or any kind of like independent video creators who want to get into kind of streaming and that kind of stuff, because it's a very simple kind of audio interface and mixer system, which is designed to be like very intuitive, specifically for those who don't know all that much about mixing consoles. You know, often I find people who are getting into like podcasting and that kind of thing, they're not audio professionals, and it's often quite daunting to have a look at like a big console with all the EQs and all the sorts of stuff like that. Obviously that stuff can be helpful for those who know what it's doing, but for those who don't, it can just create nightmares. So this was a really great system. I got a little bit of a hands-on with it, something that I would definitely consider getting for myself in the future if I do start doing more of that kind of thing. So another really cool product that I found there was this, I think I could call it like an AV streaming mixer by a company called A10. Basically, it's a kind of all-in-one streaming solution that, you know, it handles the actual streaming to your streaming platform. So all you need to do is plug HDMIs into it. You can mix between signals, you plug a camera, you plug a webcam into it, and you're ready to go. So we also met up with the brand ambassador for Akai at the event. So Akai weren't actually displaying at the trade show, but he told me about a store that was actually just down the road that he had set up like a sort of special Akai display, which had a bunch of their new stuff plugged in. And I was actually looking forward to getting hands-on with the Akai Force, so I was happy to hear that he had actually plugged one in there at that particular store. So we headed over there to have a look at it alongside some of the other gear that they had on display.
Possibility.
So they had Korg's new kind of flagship synthesizer, the Prologue, which is really, really good. Stupid me, when I was plugging in the audio output into my recorder, I didn't switch the mic preamp off, so I only got like really distorted signal. But then I thought about it, and they're actually probably way more capable keyboard and synth players online that are doing much better like synth demos and stuff than I could do. Off the top of my head, at the Akai display, they had the Akai Force, obviously, and the MPC-X. And I've never actually had hands-on with the MPC-X, so it was pretty cool to kind of dive in there and check out like what it's all about. You know, it's a kind of standalone music production system. I guess similar to the Akai Force, but very different in a couple of ways, which I'm going to kind of try outline. So the MPC-X would be a lot more familiar to those who may be more well versed in the kind of traditional MPC style of sequencing and that kind of thing. And I'm not really that guy. I've done way more work in DAWs and stuff like that, so I find myself not very comfortable sitting behind the MPC-X, whereas the Akai Force was a completely different story. It literally felt like I was sitting behind a computer in DAW, very similar to something like Ableton. You know, something like the MPC-X, which I struggled for several minutes to even get a sound out of it. I guess I should have just read the manual, but in those situations where you're kind of like at a booth, you kind of got to think quick on the top of your head. Whereas the Akai Force was completely different, you know. Within seconds I had a project loaded and I was kind of just jamming and having a lot of fun. And it's a very kind of hands-on experience, you know. I really enjoyed the fact that they've kind of thought about it from both a DJ and a producer's point of view. It obviously doesn't offer maybe as advanced kind of features as something like the MPC-X in terms of like that really in-depth editing and production and stuff like that. But for me personally, I'm not looking for that in a kind of hardware device. I'm looking for something, you know, I do a lot of my work in the DAW anyway, and I'm looking to throw the stuff that I've already created onto a device and play with it on the spot. I don't really want to create the stuff on the actual device because I've got computers and I've got other synths and I've got all sorts of stuff for that anyway. But I guess that's just my kind of 2 cents on the device. I really enjoyed it, and it actually way exceeded my initial expectations. So Pro Audio, the company that distributes Pioneer and Behringer amongst quite a few other brands, organized their kind of annual showcase evening at the same time as Mediatech. So a lot of the people that were traveling from Cape Town and all sorts of other places in Africa for Mediatech were able to actually attend that as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I got to see a lot of the kind of newer stuff that Pioneer and Behringer were releasing. Unfortunately, I didn't see any of the Behringer synthesizers except for the DeepMind, which I've already played with before. I was kind of looking forward to trying out some of the newer Behringer remakes and stuff like that. I was looking forward to trying out the MS-101, but I'm sure they'll have that in due time. One thing I was pretty excited to check out that I actually did have a quick hands-on experience with was the Pioneer Squid, and again, it exceeded my expectations. I didn't get too much in depth with it. Like I said, I just had a quick kind of like play around, and I thought it was pretty awesome. I think that pretty much sums it up. Like I said, there was so much stuff there that a lot of it was kind of more focused on broadcast and entertainment and stuff like that, that I kind of tried to focus in on what I thought was like the most exciting to show you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. So thanks to IDM Mag for flying me up to Mediatech. I really enjoyed it. I actually wrote an article about some of my highlights as well. If you want to check that out, I'm going to post a link in the description. A big thanks to IDM Mag, proud supporters of the dance music scene and my channel. As always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.